welcome back everybody. I'm gonna go into talking about my last video that I posted about the service bulletins for the F90, M5 and the M8 competitions. In that service bulletin video, I talked about how the driver's side US version or passenger side UK versions, we have the expansion tank. It gets faulty. What happens is coolant then drips down into the ignition coils, which gets down into your spark plugs, and then eventually fouls out your injectors. What we're gonna do is, in this video right here, we're gonna go ahead and I'm due to change out my ignition coils and my spark plugs, and figuring since I'm already there and I'm having symptoms of rough idling, I'm just gonna go ahead and pull all 4 injectors on that bank. Now this is not really a simple mod, but I'm gonna show you all the tools and walk you through this step. Now, and this is just in case how if that service bulletin doesn't work for you, somehow your dealership says that you don't qualify for it, at least you can come back to this video and you can walk right through the process with me. All right, let's get into it. So before we actually get into this install, what we've got to do importantly is that we have to make sure that we don't have any kind of power going into the system. We're going to be working with fuel, and you don't want to accidentally charge in the fuel pumps that we actually spray fuel into our face. So we're going to go down into removing up our cover. You take a trim tool, just lift it up and get this guy out of here. That way we have access to our negative terminal. It's 10 millimeter. We're gonna just go ahead and loosen that up. All right. And make sure we have no power. Just tuck it away down here and we should be good. One important step though is, because if we ever have to get into this trunk for whatever reason, it's just a fail safe to make sure that you put a rag here. So if this says you can't ever close your trunk. Important tip. Let's just talk about actually the parts that you actually need. So I decided to go with the Dinan ignition coils. These are the Dinan D650 TAC 0003. Dinan claims that you get an actual 10% more spark over OEM setup. I did watch a Keys video and he talked about using them, so it kind of gave me the idea to run them. But on all actuality, the BMW ignition coils, they're about $100 a pop. Or in the Dinan ones, they give you the same equivalent for about 35 bucks with more spark complaint, supposedly. Now to pair that up, I'm gonna use the most popular brand. It's the NGK's 97506's laser iridiums. These are much, much better than the stock setup right here, because I forget which material they use, but I know these are better. They're also claiming to be one step colder. So comparing your 97506's spark plugs with the Dinan 10%, we should actually feel a huge improvement on that one. Now, if you're here for the meat and potatoes like I'm doing, is the injectors. Now, give you a heads up. BMW injectors are made by Bosch. They're the OE supplier for them. If you're coming to change injectors, BMW branded injectors, they just stuck the brand on it, it's $400 each. Now, you will have BMW part numbers on the one that I'm using right now, which is Bosch, and you'll have the Bosch reference numbers on them. These injectors are $85 each. It's a huge savings. And of course, I get all my parts from FCP Euro, just because it's their OE, I trust them, great shipping, great prices. So anyway, I want to go over the parts, and we're gonna go ahead and get into the whole install and slap these in the car. All right, so I want to take the time to actually show you all the tools that you need. So to my far left, you're gonna need a torque wrench. I'm using my digital torque wrench. You have the S63 TU injector installer and puller. You can find this kit on Amazon and eBay for much cheaper than the dealer one is. You're gonna need a flathead to remove our intake bellows or the inlets, and also to 3/8, 1/4 inch, 3/8 extension, 1/4 inch extension, right angle pick tool, straight pick tool. You're gonna use also to a 14 millimeter and a 17 millimeter crow's foot. Those are to remove and install our fuel rails to get to our injectors that we're gonna do. And you have a T30 Torx. You have an 18 millimeter socket and a 13 millimeter socket. Now, during this video, you're gonna see me interchange. I'm gonna use some of my power tools. I just want to display hand tools that you can use in order to get this. And hopefully a lot of this stuff is already in your arsenal. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and finally get over to the engine bay and start getting into the nitty and gritty of all this. We're gonna start by removing our engine cover, and we're going to also remove the driver's side DME cover. Put that guy right there. All right, so now we got the covers off. I'm gonna take a flathead and loosen up our clamps that's holding our turbo inlets, but if you have a factory setup, that's gonna be your intake bellows. Mine's gonna be a little bit different because I do have the Dinan carbon fiber ones. So normally you would have a hose clamp here and hose clamp here, and there's a bellow, and it removes off from the stock turbo inlet. Since I don't have that, I have to do extra steps of removing the clip from the PCV valve and also to the turbo itself. But I'm not gonna show that one, but I am gonna show you the 18 millimeter. You need to remove this bolt, and the 13 millimeter, you need to remove that one. That way we can pull this whole air box out. All right, so now that you're actually over here and you're looking at your DME, right? I want you to make sure that you take a picture of it or either mark it, because you can see here we have some beige, we have some yellow, that's some green, some blue, some gray, and then we have a black one back here. I don't know what will happen if you get this wrong, but I'd hate to find out. So unfortunately, the good thing for me is I have a video, you don't. So, but looking at this one, it's really easy. What you're gonna do is you're gonna push down onto our lever here, and you're gonna fold it down till you hear a click. Once you hear the click, it's safe to remove out. And we're gonna do that on all of the other ones as well. You click, pull it out, click, pull it out. Keep going. We have small connections that are on the DME cover itself. I want to show you how to remove this particular clip right here. What you're going to do is you're going to take a small trim tool, it's not trim tool, pick tool, kind of get in there so it lifts up, and then that just slides right out. Get that portion off, and then we're going to go ahead and get the rest of this guy off right here. Well, this clip right here, you need to get this off to start getting more pieces off of the DME cover. So what I found was you go in here with your right angle pick tool, go in, and there's a lever inside of here that you have to push on it, and then that'll allow you to slide it all out. Now we come over here and you see this is the tab that I'm talking about right here. So you're gonna be pushing that out to get away from the latch itself over here. Just want to show you that. We're gonna get started on the other ones too. There's more for the wires that have to come out. See, we pull them out on the sides over here. And pull that out over there. I want to get everything away from the DME. All right, now we have a small clip hooked up over here, and just pull that guy loose, and just any other ones that you find around. So there's two 10 millimeter bolts I want to show before we can actually remove the DME, and also one more clip. At this point, we should have already removed everything from around the black cover, but I want to show you where everything is at because it's kind of hidden. So if you come over by your reservoir tank and you look over here, it's that guy that's hiding down there, and then it's the one right here, that one right there. That's the 10 millimeter you're going to remove. You're going to leave this one on because it actually just, the hose or this pipe actually disconnects from over here. So once we pop that up, try to get you a better angle, that'll pop right out the way. So let me go ahead and get these 10 millimeters off, and we'll go ahead and move the DME out here. Now you guys know from my other videos, I tell you when you're removing bolts, make sure you have a magnet next to it. So I'm gonna loosen this up, and then I'm gonna grab it with my magnet out of here. Carefully. Carefully get that 10mm out. You don't want to do that. All right. The first one. That's our second one. Now, we should be able to just pull this right on out of here. And that should be me. We're gonna send this out to Femto to get it unlocked, so I probably won't install this back in this video, but I'm looking for some power. But let's continue on with the rest. We finally got a little bit more access now that the DME is out. Now, in order to get down further to our ignition coils and the injectors, we're gonna have to move the coolant tank a little forward out the way. We're gonna be shuffling it around a bit because there's a wire harness in there and we gotta get rid of the fuel rail, but let's go ahead with this right here. This is 2 T30s up here. Let me get these out. Up here. Right, and we're gonna remove this hose from its location, and I'm gonna take it out of this spot too, so I have a little bit more room to work with. Get this guy, and now it's just grommets that's holding it in there, so we're gonna pull up, and we're just gonna lift it up out of the way a little bit. We have to get rid of this whole harness loom in order to have more access to our injectors and also our ignition coils. So this is gonna be a T30 here, a T30 here, but then I wanna make sure that this gray cable, which is our O2, is separated from the clips. So let's get it out here and here. And then I found a little trick with this guy right here with the corrugated line. It's held on by these kind of alligator clips, so to speak, or latches. So you're gonna come in here, you're just gonna basically unclip it, get it out there, and then follow it on the back side. So now I'm gonna remove these 2 T30s so I can get more room, and then we'll start unplugging the injectors and the ignition coils. And lastly, once we have one more clip that's back here, well back here, which is connected to the fuel rail. This right here is gonna be one of those clips where you have to push out first and then squeeze down and then remove it from the fuel rail. This is where when you get an assortment of extensions where it's best needed. So instead of sitting there trying to fight it, I'm gonna go ahead and come like this and use my extensions to get it in nice and good like. You know I love my magnet, so I'm gonna go ahead and twist that out. Bang, one down. Get in here with this guy. Remember what I said, you drop a screw in this bay, pray. All right, so we got the black loom here, which is attached to this clip right here off the fuel rail. We have to get that out completely off and whatnot. So remember, you take your screwdriver, whatever, make sure that's pushed all the way forward and reach your hand in there. You probably can't see it, but you're gonna push down on that tab and disconnect it from its piece. So there we go, that's all disconnected now. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the harnesses from the ignition coils themselves. You have one here, you have one back there, another one here, and then we got one in the far back over there that's probably gonna give you a little bit of trouble, but we'll get it out. So let me get these ignition coils, the clips off of them so we can get more space. All right, so what you wanna do is you're gonna pull up and lift the tab, and we're gonna separate the clip from the ignition coil. And we're gonna do that on all 4 of them. So now that we got the harnesses unclipped from the ignition coils, we're gonna start to pull out the ignition coils so that we have more room to work over here with. So what you do, once they're all up like this, you're gonna take it. This might give you a little bit of trouble, and pull them out. One, this guy, pull this guy out. Two, come over here. Three, and the one in the back, you have to get some, get interesting over here. Try to get it. 4. All right, now we got all the ignition coils out. You can see them over here. And then we have more room to work with. Now the next step is we're gonna unplug our injectors, and then we're gonna sit here and take this whole entire harness and get it out of here completely. Now we have to get the connectors off of the actual injectors. Now there's a slight little trick to this one right here. You're gonna take a small flathead to this portion right here, put some tension on it, and as you got it up, you're just then going to pull the injector connector out, okay? You're gonna do this on the next 4. We got all the connections off of the injectors, but we have to remove the grounds off of the block. So you have one 8mm ground here, you have another one back here. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take these off, and then we'll go ahead and pull the whole entire harness out. All right, we should be able to take out this whole entire harness here now. So just gonna go ahead and get this whole entire thing out. Wow, that was a pain. We have to now remove our fuel rail. It's gonna be T30 here, here, and there's one back here. There's 3 of them. From there, we're gonna use our crow's foot, and this is a 14mm here, 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 and here. And then we're gonna use our 17mm so we dislocate from our high pressure fuel pump. So go ahead and crack this. Crack. Not a lot of pressure on them. Come over here, this guy. And then I'm gonna get the last one off, and then we'll come back in and we'll show you how to take off the nuts from the fuel rails. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use our 14mm crow's foot. Make sure you have a variety of extensions. I know I only mentioned the first one, but if you got a second one, it'd be great. All right, so coming into it, we are going to place this right here on our fuel nut and break it out. You saw that fuel come out. The system is still pressurized. So we're gonna do that till all 4. Come in, break it, okay. And then work your way back down until you get to the last one. After that, we'll go over to our high pressure fuel pump and we'll take that one off. All right, so pro tip, on the last one, you see me break loose the 14mm with a crow's foot on the fuel rail. For the high pressure fuel pump, you wanna set your ratchet up like this, because the way that angle is, it's really hard to get in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and break the 17mm line to the high fuel pressure pump. That's what this is. Do it the right way first. All right, got in there, got a nice bite. Cool. All right, that's it. All right, and now separate it from there, and we are out. Fuel rail is out of the M8. So fuel rail's gone, sitting on the ground. We just have one nut here and one nut here. These are, as you can see, this is holding in our injectors, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Once I get these off, I'm gonna show you something else to look out for, because these are on a certain way. Oh, by the way, these nuts, they're 10mm. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these nuts off, and I'm gonna come back and show you the trick I wanna show you as far as the brackets for the injectors. All right, so we got this long ass bolt that was holding in the injector brackets. I think it's huge. Anyway, I wanted to show you something that's very important when it comes down to the injector brackets. When you take a look at them, right, you notice 2 things. The underside of them is green, has a green dot on it, but if you really look at it, you see that slight bit of camber that's in there? You wanna be very, very careful when you put these back. You don't wanna put them this way because your injectors will never sit right. So green dot on the bottom, the camber facing the top. All right, so what we did was we went ahead and put our special tool that's gonna rest over onto the block, and that way we're able to get the injectors out. And we got both injectors out. These don't look too bad. They're a little dusty and cruddy. It's kind of weird because car only has 25,000 miles on it. But once again, for me, I do see a little bit of corrosion. This right here was on bank 6, telling me that there was some kind of coolant spillage here. But I think the real problem is gonna be on injector 7 and injector 8. But let me go ahead and get those off and then I'll show you what they look like. I think I'm right though. So, yeah, so we actually have the last 2 injectors. They're loose. I loosened up the tool. I'm ready to pull them out now. And here we go. And that was my concern right there. Yeah, these are not looking good. So, anyway, I'm gonna get 4 new ones in there. Get these out. All right, so I want to talk about the injectors we pulled off of bank 7 and 8. Well, cylinders 7 and 8. As you can see here, we do have definitely some contamination from coolant coming into it here and here. And this is what I go back into my last video where I talked about the expansion tank leaking coolant, getting into the injector valleys and the spark plug valleys and fouling out your injector coils, your spark plugs, and your injectors themselves. You want to have this looked at immediately because this right here could actually blow your motor. So get your bulletin looked at, and if you don't qualify or they say something, definitely for a minimum do in cylinder 7 and 8 because that's where the real contamination is going to be at. But to be thorough, just change all 4 of them when you do your spark plugs